Life is full of tragedy. With a baseball bat in my hands, I cracked open the head of one of the zombies stumbling in the street. Its black, chunky brain spilled out onto the pavement. I waved my hand over my shoulder to signal my group to follow me. I didn't hear their footsteps, so I turned around to see that they're gone. They left me here to die. I looked around frantically, but there was no life to be seen. Only empty vessels of what used to be humans wobbling around the streets. I could smell rotting flesh permeate the air, with the constant groans of the walking dead echoing throughout the empty alleys of this city. The sound of dragging feet grew behind me, so I quickly turned around to see several corpses walking in my direction. With nothing to protect myself except my bat, I ran into a nearby building, closing and barricading the door behind me with a desk that was conveniently placed next to it. I surveyed the surrounding room for any opening that those monsters could take advantage of, but to my surprise, all of the windows that lined the walls were already covered with wooden planks. Thinking for a moment as to who could have been here before me, my eyes soon shot to a body that laid in the corner of the room. I pulled out my flashlight and shone it over to the body, showing itself to have belonged to a young boy. Light brown hair and skin that was battered and bruised. I ran over to the body and examined it for any sign of life, but there was no pulse. I looked over the body to learn how he died, but there was nothing. No cuts, no bites or bullet wounds. I left the body in the corner and began to search around the room for any item that could be useful, but all that could be seen was a gray tiled floor and a white ceiling with a few empty cans laying around. Bringing my attention back to the door I'd entered, I could hear the sounds of the undead bashing and raving like ravenous beasts, screeching and howling for their next meal. I tried to ignore them and sat against the wall opposite to the door, just in case they were to get it open. I pulled out my pistol and removed the clip to see how many rounds I had left. In despair, I looked, and I only had 2 bullets left. I was depressed. I had no way out, so I walked over to the door and began to push the desk out of the way, accepting my fate till the sounds of little feet came from behind me. I spun around in a second, but it was too late as the zombie version of the child in the corner lunged at me and sunk its tiny teeth into my shoulder. I let out a loud yell as I tossed the kid away. He stumbled to the ground, but quickly jumped back to his feet and started to sprint after me. In fear, I whipped out my pistol and let out a round directly into the child's head. The loud fire of the gunshot echoed through the room, and the boy's head jerked back, his body falling backwards onto the ground dead. Bits of his brain were plastered to the wall behind him, and even seeped out of the fresh hole surrounding his head in a puddle of red. I placed my right hand on my left shoulder, where the child had gotten me, squeezing it in agony. Stumbling backwards into the wall and sliding down to the floor. Knowing my time is running out, I'm recording my final moments for those who care of what had happened to this poor fool of a man. I sit here now with my gun to my head and the last bullet in the chamber, thinking about the The one question people often asked. Am I okay? I can actually say I'm not. I'm not okay. I'm not okay.